Yes, very good evening to you, and you're very welcome to On the Ball on WNR. It's myself, Gavin Whelan, with you between now and 7 this evening. Very shortly, reflections on a disappointing day for the Daoise hurlers in Thurles yesterday as CLARE booked their place in the Munster semi-final with an impressive victory. We'll get the thoughts of Daoise boss Liam Cahill. We'll also get the post-match analysis from Michael Duignan, Shane McGrath and indeed Owen Murphy, who all gave their take on yesterday's action in Semple Stadium. Another early championship exit for the Waterford footballers, who were well beaten by Limerick on Saturday. We'll get the post-match thoughts of Daoise manager a disappointed Shane Ronayne. Great weekend on the athletics scene with plenty of local success. Fintan Welch will join us to fill us in on all that. We'll take a look ahead at what's coming up in Euro 2020 as the knockout stages continue this evening, and we'll also look back at the other top sporting stories that dominated another busy weekend.
So CLARE have survived as the referee looks for the sliotar. Brian Lohan has brought his team to Semple Stadium, Thurles. Eibhear Culligan, well, you can see what it means to him and to CLARE. This was one that they really wanted. Full-time score, CLARE 1 goal, 22 points. Waterford 21 points.
I wouldn't think so. To be honest, I thought we could have been beaten a lot more, to be honest. We arrived as flat as one of the most flattest performances on my reign here. Is just bitterly disappointed. Can't really put my finger on it, to be honest, but then again, I suppose, to be fair to CLARE, I'm not taking away from their performance. They brought what they had to win Munster Championship hurling, and all credit to them in fairness, but we definitely didn't bring the energy that we're accustomed to be honest.
Yeah, you're very welcome along to this evening's programme, Monday the 28th of June, and we're going to start by reflecting on yesterday's action in Semple Stadium on this Gaelic Games dominated show, I suppose, and a disappointing start to the 2021 Championship for Waterford. It's the qualifier route for the Daoise if they're to resurrect their season after a 4-point defeat to the Banner in Semple Stadium yesterday. Could have been so much more as well. The victors amassed 22 wides in Thurles in their 122 to 21 points victory over the Daoise. Tony Kelly started in the full forward line. He was marked by Calum Lyons and he had 3 early points. Kelly did. He finished with 112 yesterday as the Banner dominated the opening exchanges and should have been more than 7 points to 3 ahead at the water break, but 8 shots went wayward in the first quarter. 2 well taken scores by Austin Gleeson kept the Daoise in touch, but in truth they were second best all over the field. Tony Kelly then converting a penalty in the 30th minute after Aaron Shanaher was pulled down by Shane Fives, who was sent to the sin bin. CLARE led at half time by 113 to 7 points. Liam Cahill's side did up the tempo in the second half and came back into proceedings. Impact off the bench there very strong, with Patrick Kern, Kieran Bennett, Neil Montgomery and Mikey Carney all pointing upon their introduction even, while Stephen Bennett's freeze brought it back to a 3-point game as the match entered injury time. However, Mr. Reliable for CLARE, Tony Kelly, popped up with an insurance score to keep the Daoise at bay and seal a fully deserved 4-point victory. CLARE 122, Waterford 21 points, the full-time score. Stephen Bennett top scored for Waterford with 11 points, 9 coming from frees. Austin Gleeson with 5, 4 from play and 1 from a free as well for Liam Cahill's side, who will return to action in the opening round of the All-Ireland qualifiers, where they're going to be in action on the weekend of July 18th. And as soon as we get information on the fixture details, we'll bring you those and we'll bring you bang up to speed on that. But we're going to dive into the post-match analysis from yesterday, starting with the Waterford manager, a disappointed Liam Cahill.
So we came up short in a lot of areas. It's almost like we found it very hard to win breaking ball in the middle of the field. But, when we went to try and take it on and break the lines a little, we failed, and passes to the man's hand didn't go to hand, and there was our movement on our puck outs. But when you're looking in at a flat team, it's very, very hard to try and make the positional changes to correct these things, because we tried desperately to get energy on the field. We probably did finishing up there near the end, get good energy in, and credit to the subs that came on. But bitterly disappointing day for me and the players.
Is that the most disappointing aspect, Liam, that the energy levels, the intensity levels, the work rate that are accustomed with this Waterford team are so low today?
Yeah, that'd be one, but I will give the lads credit. Like, they stuck right in near the end. They kept hurling away, and maybe one or two little chances there near the end. You would have brought it back to 3 points, and going down the home straight, you wouldn't know what might happen. But when you're clinging to them kind of things, like again, a team like with the quality of Clare and their backs up, like, you don't usually come out the right side of it. But yeah, that'd be the most disappointing part of it. That for a young, energetic team, when I say young, with the exception of one or two players, the rest of our team are early 20s, like, and we were just flat. And again, we'll all have to look at it from a management perspective, get the S&C people in around it, and see what caused that today. But definitely it's a concern.
You started out the spine of the team that lined out in the All-Ireland final. Stephen O'Keefe, Conor Prunty, Ty de Burka, Jamie Barron. How much did you miss those players, do you feel?
Yeah, they're all massive players. That's what I would say, and they're big players, and it's hard to replace them. But we've trolled hard now around the scene in Waterford, the club scene in Waterford, and I really felt we had a good, strong panel, and we still have a good, strong panel assembled. And I know we were without them guys, as you mentioned, through injuries and what have you, but I felt that the guys stepping in to take on the mantle today were well equipped to do it. But yeah, look, the long and short of it is, experienced players like that, they are hard to replace. But good learnings again today for them younger fellas, because it was a tough place there for the majority of that game.
Are jerseys back up for grabs for the qualifiers, Liam?
I'm sure they have to be. I have to throw everything at this now. I'm going to look at it really stringently and rigorously there, because ultimately, we had too many lads fail today. We had too many players fail today for my liking, and I have 37 on a squad, and they're all putting in great work, and it's very hard. I had 11 guys training earlier this morning that trained really, really hard, and they must be looking in at that to say, what have I to do to get into this squad? So I'll be rewarding any player that can put their hand up over the next fortnight or 3 weeks to a qualifier, because at this stage I have nothing to lose. I'm going to throw everything at it between now and then.
I suppose you conceded a lot of goals in the league campaign, and all, like 21 wides from Clare today. There's a huge amount of scoring chances you're conceding. That must be a concern.
Yeah, it is a concern. Like, we didn't give away, with the exception of the penalty today, we didn't give away, maybe as many goal chances. But yeah, look, it's a concern. It's there. It's obvious. It's a stat that jumps out of us. We're well aware of it. I didn't realise that was 23. How many wides? 23 wides. 21 wides. Like that. That tells the story itself. Like, you're looking in at it and you're wondering why these Clare jerseys are getting pot shots at the goal, and fellas 5 and 10 and 15 yards away from getting a hook or a block, and it's just something that I'm not accustomed to with this group of players, to be fair to them.
I suppose particularly in the opening stages there was a huge amount of swarming defence in your attack. Were you kind of surprised by the tactics that they employed, particularly playing Tony Kelly in the full forward line as well?
Yeah, like, that was, we had planned for that as well, because, let's be fair, we expected that Tony Kelly would appear on an inside forward line at some stage, and I'm sure Clare were going to monitor that as to see how the supply of the ball was going to be like, and as it turned out, the supply of the ball was quite good, so they had no real need to move him from there. But they definitely pulling back an extra man across their half back line on all occasions when we turned them over in the middle of the field. It left our guys with a lot of headaches to try and sort out, and we just hadn't that energy to run the ball to try and get past that extra defender and create what we're about, and that's movement and creating overlaps. And fair play to Brian Lohan and Clare today. They came well equipped. They came ready to battle, and we didn't, and that's the bottom line.
We are WLR.
We are Ireland's local station of the year.
Yeah, disappointed Daisha boss Liam Cahill speaking to the media after the game yesterday with Tomas McCarthy, and indeed you also heard Kevin Galvin from Beat there as well. So no holding back, I suppose, from Liam Cahill, and it's knockout hurling from here on in now for the Daisha, who will enter the All-Ireland qualifiers in a couple of weeks' time. We're also going to get the reaction from former Daisha defender and former selector Owen Murphy, who of course was on co-commentary duty for us yesterday with Kieran O'Connor up there in Thurles. Our own Nigel Kelly spoke to the Shamrocks man earlier this morning to get his take on yesterday's disappointment.
I think Waterford failed to reach the normal levels that we've been used to over the last, I suppose, year and a half, Nigel. We've seen Waterford, their work rate, the speed that they the intensity that they have, the speed that the ball is moving around, their touch. Now, part of that, obviously, we were down some of our key players down the middle, but I just think Liam Cahill, said that they were flat, and they look flat. For some reason, they look flat. Don't know why. I'm sure that they'll be able to come up and pinpoint some reason. Clare, on the other hand, just hit the ground running. They were all over Waterford, didn't allow them to get any momentum, and they had their Tony Kelly inside and Shanahan, and the quality of ball going in was hard to defend, to be honest, Nigel. So it put us on the back foot. And look, if Clare had their shooting boots on, I mean, the match could have been over. Billy Nolan pulled off a brilliant save as well in the first half. It could have been a double-digit defeat, very easy.
Yeah, Owen Murphy there giving his take on yesterday, and I suppose a lot of the talk was the flatness, I suppose, and lack of energy in terms of Waterford's performance yesterday. Something that you usually associate the high work rate and energy with a Liam Cahill side certainly didn't seem to be there yesterday, did it, from a Waterford point of view? And that'll certainly have to be raised over the next couple of weeks. But of course, you have to remember the players that Waterford were missing as well. One has to take that into account. But I suppose overall, Clare much the sharper team and ought to have certainly won by a lot more than the 4-point margin. I'm going to continue the post-match reflections from yesterday, and in Semple Stadium, once the dust settled after the full-time whistle yesterday, we got the views of Sunday game analyst Michael Duignan, whom we'll hear from first. He was chatting to our own Tomás McCarthy, and I got the views of RTE analyst and former All-Ireland winner with Tipperary Shane McGrath to get his take on yesterday's victory for the Banner, which sets them up with a clash against the Premier next weekend. That'll be at the LIT Gaelic grounds, while Cork and Limerick will lock horns in the other semi-final on Saturday night at Semple Stadium in Thurles. Shane McGrath coming up shortly, but first here's Tomás in conversation with former Offaly stalwart Michael Duignan.
Look, it was very flat, Tomás. I don't have to tell anyone from Waterford that's listening in. Very own Waterford, like I suppose under Liam Cahill. One of the things that has really I suppose been impressive in Liam's time has been the sort of attitude, determination, the aggression, and I hope they'll be forgiven one bit of a bad day, but they were flat from the start. Maybe just those defections, like missing so many key players. Their options then to, I suppose, Tony Kelly went corner forward to start to have to move Callum Lyons with such an attack-minded player out of the half-back line. So it was nearly like losing him as well, if you know what I mean. So, but having said that, look, they won't be looking for excuses. Their forwards in the first half, they were outfought. They were, like Clare were very aggressive. They were very much up for it, as they expected they would be. Waterford didn't manage to, no Waterford forward scored from play in the first half, and didn't improve an awful lot after in the second half. So, and having said that, hurling's a funny game. They were only 3 down at the first water break. Then it went 1-6-3 before half time, and Clare got that 9-point advantage. I don't think it was a penalty. I don't think it was a sin bin. Did it have a big bearing on the result? Probably not, because Clare really could have won by a lot more at the end of the day. But Waterford kept going. I suppose that's the only positive you take from it. And to have a few weeks of a break now, to recharge, maybe get a couple of lads back. So, unlike maybe the football teams all over the country who have gone out of the championship, I think at least to have that. And I think it's a very own Waterford-like display, as I say, especially under Liam and Mikey Bevins.
Which Waterford players impressed you today, Michael?
I thought Stephen Bennett tried really hard. Austin in the second half, thought was superb. He really kept going. Scored a few fabulous points. Darragh Lyons in the middle of the field, thought he worked fierce hard, but overall I think overall, an awful lot of key players, I think be very disappointed with their performance. If you took Stephen Bennett's contribution out of it, and Austin, as I say, everyone else struggling. And the other thing, even though we're missing so many, having only 8 starters from the All-Ireland final, which only last December, when you think about it, that's a huge turnover of players. But I thought our subs did very well when they came on. They did breathe a bit of life back in. 4 of them came on and scored a point. So that's a positive as well. But look, I think at a day like today, they're really better off to forget about what happened and put it in the bin and start again, because that's what hurling is. At the end of the day, it's about the next ball, never mind the next match, and enjoying the match. And there's very, very little I think they can take out of that. They were standing off their men, they were loose. I actually think the reason they clear so many wides is that too much time with the ball. You wouldn't be used to it at inter-county level, and you can pull the ball in, you can over swing at it, sometimes you're under a bit more pressure, you can be more accurate. So I think it was it'll be a day maybe best forgotten. You can look at it and say we lost by 4, but it could have been 14.
are, Gavin, to be honest, and even the breeze that was there earlier on isn't here right now, but it's a 4-point win, but to be honest, the difference was way more than that in my opinion, just when we were looking as well. Finished very strong now, in fairness, and I think Liam and the lads will take good confidence from that. I think outscored Clare 9-4 there in the last quarter. Bench were brilliant. Bench were really, really good. 4 points from play from your bench, so that's good as well. Lads putting their hand up. Do you know what, Kevin? It's not the end of the world for Waterford, and I'll tell you why. They'll come through qualifier. They'll be way, way better than anybody who's after losing in Leinster, and that's no offence to anyone in Leinster. Waterford are a way better team than anybody there. They'll come through that. They'll get a bit of confidence up, and we'll definitely see him at the latter end of the stages. Definitely see him in a quarter final, and whoever the draw is in a quarter final, and see him back in a semi final again. And for the group, looking at your All-Ireland final team last year, I think only 7 of your All-Ireland final team started today. I mean, no matter who you are, if you're Limerick, Galway, anyone at all, if you're missing 8 guys who played an All-Ireland final, that's a killer. And the guy who I felt you missed the most, obviously Tyg is gone, so we can't put him in. Like Jamie Barron was a massive loss for you. He's a brilliant link there in the middle of the field. I love watching him play. I love the ease at which he glides through. So hopefully, for yourselves, another couple of weeks you might see those guys maybe back a bit closer to starting.
Yeah, please God. And something Liam Cahill mentioned afterwards in his post-match analysis, Shane, that it was probably one of the flattest performances he's ever seen, I suppose, in his time in charge of Waterford. Clare, they were just hungry all over the field, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, and I would associate the culture that has been created down there in recent times based on work rate, and that everything else kind of happens after that, and we just didn't see that today. And I'd say the group will be more disappointed than anyone else, and rightly so as well. They'll be a disappointed dressing room, but they'll rejig themselves. They'll get a few more bodies back, and they'll know that, look, that was probably the poorest Waterford performance as a team under Liam Cahill, and that's putting it being honest, but they'll know that there's only one way to go now, and that's up. And as I said, they'll get a draw in the next qualifier. They will win that game, and the confidence in the group and lads coming back all the time. I mean, I even seen it look something similar ourselves in 2010. We were terrible in the first game, and you know what, we got to run a draw, we got to run the games in the qualifiers. The confidence was buzzing, lads were pushing each other on, lads kept coming back from injuries, and before we knew we were back in Croke Park again for All-Ireland semi-final. And I can honestly see something similar for this Waterford group as well.
Yeah, please God, indeed. And Tony Kelly again, we talked about him coming into it, but some of even the early scores there, you'd just be privileged to be here today to watch him, wouldn't you?
Look, he scored 112 today, 5 points in play, and everyone says maybe the Calum thing didn't work, but you know what, to be fair to him, if anyone marked Tony Kelly with 40-50 yards space in front of you and a quality ball coming in, there's no one will mark Tony Kelly there like that. So whoever's trying to beat Clare, they'll have to cut off the space and work harder out the field. And I'd say if Waterford played Clare another 10 times, they would work harder out the field, and therefore a less quality ball going into the likes of Tony Kelly, because if it's bouncing in front of him, you see the pitch there today, the pitch is absolutely immaculate. I mean, Tony Kelly's going to eat them up, but you know what, it's all well and good saying this, we could all get the ball bounced in front of us. Some of the scores, he's striking at the ball, his penalty was brilliant. Billy's a top keeper, he didn't move. So look, Tony Kelly's just one of those players. It's a pleasure to watch him play. 112 here again today, and he's in all-star territory almost again, Gavin.
Even already at Munster quarter-final stage, yeah. And I suppose the penalty there, I don't think Liam Cahill had any complaints afterwards as well. Shane Fives, I suppose, probably the new cynical rule, he probably had to go, I suppose, didn't he?
Yeah, he probably did. I think the confusion, just for maybe I was watching it on the screen, was it for the first or the second foul? And I suppose that was a bit of confusion. Shane was a massive loss. Why? Because there was fierce confusion in your full back line straight after it. Even if you look at the ball that they gave to, I think Aaron Shanner got it straight away. Iarla Daly didn't know where he's come or go. So they're all things to work on, because a lot of teams haven't faced that sin bin thing yet. So you haven't maybe faced the confusion of it, and it's very easy to say you prepare for it in training, but when the championship comes, it's a different kettle. And I really hope we see a few fans, Gavin, as well soon, because I think your fans are brilliant. You bring a lot of colour, you bring a lot of noise as well. And if there was 5,000 of you here today when it got to 4 points, it might have been a bit of a difference. So look, as I was talking to someone before the match, there was more people at Mass this morning where I'm living than there was at the match today. So look, let's hope the powers that be can see this, and we've a 45,000 seater stadium here. If we got a fraction of it in, it would make a big difference to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at final point then too, cracking semi-finals. Look forward to next weekend, I suppose, Tipperary now, and Clare next Sunday in Limerick, Shane. Yeah, and we're just talking to John Conlon there. I can't remember the last time Tip and Clare played each other in Limerick. Might have to go back to 2009 maybe or something, So we played them in a Munster semi-final. So it's been a while. There was always a real kind of bitter rivalry between Tip and Clare there for a while in the 90s. I think it's more of a healthy rivalry now, which is good to see too, because there was a lot of hate there for a long time, But I think there's a good rivalry there now. I think the Clare lads will have no fear of Tip, and the Tip lads will feel that it's a match they can win as well. So look, it's going to be a great game. Really look forward to Limerick and Cork from even a tactical point of view. Will Cork go stick with their sharp puckouts like they did against, or will they try and go long? I don't think they will go long. I think there was a bit of shadow boxing there in the league. So tactically,
it should be a great setup to Limerick and Cork, and Tip and Clare then, who knows what's going to happen, because two very evenly matched teams. I hope we get, while today was close, I think Clare were much the better team, and hopefully we'll get two cracking games in Munster Championship. It's great to have it back in June. I was here last year for the qualifier, for the opener between yourselves and Cork. It was about 5 degrees Celsius. It was freezing cold. It was dark. So look, we're on the right track. We'll just get those bums back in seats, and we'll be fully back then, Gav.
We are WLR.
We are Ireland's local station of the year.